So I have my mind on what to do in the springtime, or maybe before then if things work out just right. I guess I could trailer this motorcycle. You know, I do anticipate real, actual cold, wintry, possibly icy or snowy weather. But if any of you have some thoughts about some really great places to go ride, I'd love to be, you know, love for you to comment. Let me know where some good spots are. I know about Trail of the Dragon, and back home in West Virginia, there are some high bank turns. Much of the state is made with really high bank turns, and they're just really nice to ride on. And of course, just for weather's sake, Florida always appeals to me, but how about some others? I am considering Indian Bike Week, also Sturgis. I've not been to either of those, or frankly any bike rallies. So this year I'd really like to make it to one, if not several. I'm willing to get out a primitive tent, pup tent, whatever, pack it along, put it on the motorcycle, and head off into the sunset. That's kind of what appeals to me, quite honestly, about this Iron Horse here. I feel a little like you can pick your Western character. The older generation might be Gene Autry or Wayne, John Wayne, Clint Eastwood, heck, you name it. I mean, Young Guns, you know, whatever it is. It just has a sense of freedom and liberty when you just take off and go somewhere unexpected, and so that's where my head is when I get out on a motorcycle. And while I'm on it, talking to you good people, I'd really appreciate it if you could think to subscribe. It always helps to know that we're talking to someone out there, and that you receive it in some way, and not just clicking on and clicking off and counting up spins. It's nice to know when there's actual people that have thoughts about what you have to say, or the places that you've experienced. So Florida is definitely on my mind. South Florida in particular, maybe going out across Alligator Alley, Key West would be welcome, especially if I could hit it during the wintertime. Now getting there would be the problem, because until I get to Tampa or below, the weather is likely to be rather inclement. Is that right? Is that a right way to say that? Inclement weather. Weather be inclement. I don't know. Sorry. Don't mean to get off onto a grammar and English sub-study. The idea of longer rides kind of appeals to me as well. I think from here to go to South Dakota, it's probably a 3-day trip. If I'm pushing pretty solid days, I think it might be a full 17 to 20 hours. And I don't really fancy doing the highway, you know, the interstate, in much of that spell. The traffic is just really nice on a bike. Trucks tend to push you around, and sometimes aggressive drivers just make it rather unpleasant and unsafe. And some other interest that I've put on this channel that I have yet to explore a whole lot of, I'm going to go right past this guy right here, is music. I'm in Nashville because of my interest in music years ago, and I've scratched that itch as well, recorded a few things, had some really good fortune to just fall in and be able to write with some very talented people. So I may throw some of my soundtracks up as background, just exploring some things, maybe find some people with similar interests, maybe similar tastes in music or something. Following the sun is seems to be my destiny. I just love the thought. I think all of my life. And there's an interesting vertical rainbow in front of me that has been there for the last 10 minutes or more. Clouds are just filtering. It's just very pretty. I bought a camper several years back and really haven't put as much time in that as I thought I would. My wife and kids just really aren't much into that, as it worked out, and that's too bad. I still enjoy it, but now that I'm going to be doing it more solo, I'm considering that. Now, one thought that I had was actually to hook a trailer up to this bike, and part of that appeals to me and part of it doesn't, and I'll explain why that is. First of all, I'm going to have to spend some money on a trunk, some sort of space or a rack on the back of this motorcycle in order to carry a tent and all the belongings to travel even overnight or a couple nights. You just have to have space. So that's one option. I could always strap things to the bike and go about my merry way. But a trailer obviously allows for a little bit more, but I am rather impulsive. And if I'm out on the road and I want to keep riding and just stop at 2 o'clock in the morning, the idea would be, if I had a trailer, is that I could just stop where I stop and hop in a little teardrop trailer or something. Now that really appeals to me because it feels a little safer. If I really get into some nasty weather, have a spot to climb into and get out of a storm. I'm not talking about a tornado or anything. I'm just talking about just a simple, rainstorm or even ice or pellets or anything like that. But when you're traveling, you really don't know at all times what you're walking into. And watching a few people that have done that, it tends to mess with a clutch. And the few folks that I've followed have had some multiple clutch replacements because of that. So I'm a little concerned that might be a maintenance issue. I'd like to have a pup tent and maybe some means to make coffee and some other things around a fire or some additional lanterns or something. But then there's a different dynamic when you're talking about doing it with a motorcycle. As my name would suggest, I'm kind of open. I'm open to anything. I want to ride anywhere.